Here is another yet to be finished PowerPoint rough draft. It's called A Society Without Slavery. Excuse me. A society without slavery is a society without justice. Only as Caesar's slave have I found true freedom. George Bernard Shaw, from his play Caesar and Cleopatra. When I give my views on slavery in public, people think I'm joking. They ask, how can you be in favor of slavery? I answer, I am not the one who is in favor of slavery in this conversation. You are the one in favor of slavery. Everybody in this society is pro-slavery. It is a society full of conformists. You can't think for yourselves. You can't feel for yourselves. But worst of all, most importantly, you can't value for yourselves. People who follow other people's value systems are slaves by definition. Slavery is part of the natural order of the universe. Slavery is part of the natural order of the universe, and therefore it is moral by the inhumanist, naturalistic, ethical, and earth ethical principles and standards that I and many of my personalities are working on. Because power is the single motivating force of any and all life conceivable in the world. Understand, even though slavery can be viewed as natural, normal, and moral, this does not imply that a society cannot choose not to practice it. Slavery and war are part of the natural order, too crucial to life to circumvent. In individual human interactions with other human individuals, it is consistently observable that people with less intellect and force of will listen to and obey those with superior intellect and willpower absolutely naturally. It is only when those natural leaders begin to slide morally and tyrannically use and oppress those others to the point where they are completely left out of the endeavoring and pursuit of that society's meaning and values. Human beings can endure any degree of pain and suffering happily when there is a stalwart and unwavering meaning and purpose attached to that suffering. Violence is the natural state of the universe. Michio Kaku, quote from documentary The Last Days on Earth. He says that. Who should be the slaves? In PMA society today, that is the wrong question to be asked. The right question to be asked would be, who should not be the slaves? I may have met 5 people in my entire life who are not fit for slavery. This is a society made up of slaves, or people who should be slaves. Anyone who can be made a slave deserves to be a slave. Anyone who can be made a slave should be a slave. Nobody could ever make me a slave. I would kill myself before they could do it. The purpose of society is to produce great men of creative genius who produce great culture. The majority of any society, therefore, are meant to do the grunt work so that the great men can arise and once arisen, have the freedom and the leisure to create. Leisure to create beauty, knowledge, wisdom has nothing to do with leisure to evolve oneself into a disgusting, decadent, overfed, lazy, obese, lipid pig. If what you think of when you hear the word leisure is not what I think of when I use the word leisure, if the slave perceives that the masters have the honest dedication to do their job, in other words, to create the conditions for the creative elite to appear and to produce the goods for the society as a whole, there will appear no dissatisfaction, no defiance, no rebellion in that society, because they will see themselves as an important component of that successful endeavor and will therefore be content to do their jobs. What I'm saying is that most people are fit to be slaves, and they know it. And most people who are fit to be slaves want to be slaves. The problem is they want a purpose for their enslavement. Okay? They want honest sincerity from the enslavers, that they're working their ass off in what you call leisure in order to create. It is when a society declines to decadence to the point where you have an inferior ruling class of idiots like the Romanovs, the Habsburgs, and the Bourbons, that the Enlightenment period and its decadent ideas, all that came after it, could appear. The appearance of the Enlightenment in European history was not a good development for humanity as a whole. Thank you for listening.